I'll talk all day. It's like it's
Yeah.
whatever.
I'm Liberty Madison, the host of Pitch Your Nonprofit, and I am here with one of our amazing nonprofit founders, Miss Lakeisha Gray-Sewell. I am so thrilled to have you here to learn more about you and learn more about your story. Lakeisha, can you tell us about your organization?
First of all, I want to say hello and thank you, Liberty. It is definitely an honor. It's a privilege to be a part of Pitch Your Nonprofit family. And so excited for this opportunity always to share about Girls Like Me Project. So thank you for this platform and thank you for allowing me to be a guest.
Yes, thank you so much. That's so kind. And I'm so thrilled for everyone to get to know about Girls Like Me Project and what you're doing and how you're impacting all of these young ladies. I'm Liberty Madison, your host of Pitch Your Nonprofit, and I am here with one of the amazing nonprofit founders that are in the Pitch Your Nonprofit family. Miss Lakeisha is the founder of an amazing organization called Girls Like Me Project. Girls Like Me Project is doing some amazing things. I don't want to just go into that and spill it all for you. I want to give you the opportunity to talk about your organization. But before we get into your organization, welcome to this conversation about the founders of Pitch Your Nonprofit Show. How did you learn about Pitch Your Nonprofit and what's your connection to the show?
Yeah, well, thank you, Liberty, for having me on. Thank you for this whole platform. And I actually got introduced to Pitch a Nonprofit on Clubhouse. And so I was there on Clubhouse working with other, coming across other conversations. And then noticed that, listen, I have to be very honest and transparent for your listeners. My puppy is here. So I'm just going to hold him because he keeps running in and out.
Okay, hey, puppy. What's puppy's name? What's his name?
Is Thor.
Hey, Thor is coming in that door.
Thor is busting in.
Shut me out at all.
We keep going over and over if we would wait for him. So, but yeah, I found out about Pitch a Nonprofit on the Clubhouse app, and it was just an amazing, powerful conversation. It was just Pitch a Nonprofit. And I came in and I listened, and you and Shelton Banks, Hannah, and a couple of other people were just so open, so supportive. So many resources were shared, and I shared, and so that's and was able to benefit from the generosity of those who were in the room, and just
that was
have been in love ever since.
What has been your experience? Because I know one of the things the main thing that we focus on Pitch Nonprofit is not just perfecting your pitch, because we want you to be ready to go at a moment's notice with your kind of campaign pitch, your investor pitch, your donor pitch, your elevator pitch, all these opportunities to perfect the pitch. And I know that a lot of nonprofit founders don't really focus on perfecting a pitch or prepare a pitch at all. So this is completely new to that particular audience and environment. And now that we obviously have Pitch a Nonprofit, the activation of the community is just really exciting. So whether you have received funding from the Sharks, most of the time, it's really not about pitching the Sharks. It's about that community and the audience watching and listening to Pitch a Nonprofit and receiving funding outside of that. So I'm thrilled to know that you have received resources and funding from Pitch Your Nonprofit, and you've had a great experience. I love that. What is your nonprofit? I've already said it's girlslikemeproject.org, but I would love to give you an opportunity to tell people about your organization. So what is your nonprofit?
So Girls Like Me Project is a not-for-profit that works with Black girls specifically and unapologetically, ages 11 through 17. And we help them to critically examine the social, cultural, and political ideologies that are in media, which help them to overcome the stereotypes and stigmas. We equip them with tools and strategies to become influential, independent digital storytellers that can transform their communities and have a global sisterhood.
Let me just say, everything you just said, I am jumping for joy in the inside. You can't see it, but I love everything that you just said, because what you just said is transformational. It gives people an opportunity to see themselves and move forward. So what does that actually look like in execution? Can you talk to me about what that looks like for your organization? Is it being executed in various programs? Is it, yeah, can you talk to me about your programs?
Yeah, so we do it in we do the 3E approach. So that's exposure, examination, and oh Lord, exposure, examination, and engagement. And so first and foremost, we help them with self-actualization. We help them to understand the truth of who they are, right? Their own values, their own sense of self-worth, their own identity. We help them to make a connection to history and herstory. And then we expose them to things that they don't get because of the limited access to technology, the limited access to, especially in the city of Chicago, which is one of the most segregated cities in the country. They don't have, outside of their own communities, right? They don't have access to different career opportunities or just the world, right? And so we expose that, and then we actually take them out into the world. So that they can know that they have value, that they bring value, and then also to help them understand how that impacts the world and themselves. So we do workshops, media training, we do internships, we do excursions and shadow days in corporations and media agencies, and then they also do their own documentaries. So we have a podcast where we train them to do podcasting. They're trained to do their own video documentaries and short documentaries, photography, all those things.
So what I'm hearing from you is you are leveraging media to help them obviously isolate and identify how they are customarily portrayed in media, but shifting that narrative.
Right. To reclaim their own narrative, to not allow that narrative to be the definition of who they are.
So when you reclaim that narrative, you are in turn training people how to create content and create media. Because that's one thing for me as a creator and as a person who is a producer of content. A lot of people say, oh, it's the media, it's the media. And I always say, you are the media. Like you are the media. You can portray the things that you want to see. And that's what your organization, Girls Like Me, does. And it helps ages, young girls. You said 9?
Well, we started at 9, but our target is 11 to 17. Okay. We have worked with 9-year-olds because what we've seen is we started it when they were 9, but our organization started at 11 years old. But we see that girls need this like as soon as possible, even at 7 years old.
Can you tell me what does, because I want to envision your ideal kind of customer profile. What is the mindset of a 9-year-old girl that's coming into your organization? What is her current kind of visualization of herself, her own identity? And how do you transform it? And what does that transformation look like?
Yeah, so studies have shown that right around the 4th, 5th grade, right around that time when girls hit 9 or 10 years old, that they then their confidence starts to wane. They start to look more towards peer pressure. They want to fit in. They don't speak out as much, right? Their self-esteem goes down. So typically what we see are girls who are finding leadership by being aggressive and assertively mean towards other girls, or finding leadership by being the class clown or agitating the teacher, right? So they're doing all of these different things. And mostly what they're doing is emulating what they see in popular media. And so they're still moldable, right? Though at that age, you can still steer them in the right direction. And so that's what we find, that they have pliable minds, but easily influenced and impressionable minds. And so we make sure that we can redirect that energy that they have, that they're putting towards being catty towards one another, the overly sexual, right? Because we wouldn't think that, but definitely.
Did you say sexual? Overly
yes.
sexual at that age range?
Yes. So we have had instances where girls are grabbing boys' genitals because they have access to technology and cell phones and smartphones now.
So they are
Selfies that they
basically
get.
emulating what they are seeing
Hmm.
on television, whether it
Hmm.
be this kind of, like you said, aggressive mean behavior,
Hmm.
possibly I just hate to think of kids in that age range experiencing like the bullying and
Hmm.
things of that nature. So
Yep.
this is what's happening, and you're taking
Hmm.
that opportunity to say you don't have to emulate these particular characters that you're seeing on TV. Here's some other ways to see. So,
Absolutely.
Keisha, why did you start this organization? Because I know this is something that needs to be done. It's something that needs to be solved. It's a real thing. But why
Hmm.
you?
Well, I always tell people that I am in media training by trade, and I am a girls advocate by life assignment. God appointed this to me. Like you said, why me? Why not someone else? What I know is that growing up for me, the Cosby Show, watching the Cosby Show, watching A Different World, so many different outlets for me. And where I lived, surrounded by poverty, surrounded by violence, right? Media was my outlet, and it showed me a whole different world, what could be. It gave me hope. It gave me something, aspirations. And what I've been seeing when my son was in fourth grade, what I saw was that media had completely lost all its sense of hope. Right, there was no ambition or aspiration. It was just very low vibrational. And I saw that that was impacting young girls, that they were mirroring what they saw. And so I knew that I could harness the power of media and get them to harness the power of themselves, to change in a different trajectory. And because of my background in media, because of my background in communications and broadcasting and production, it just seemed like a natural fit to make sure that they understood not only that they can harness that power to change their mindset, but they can also harness that to have a lucrative career as creators and as producers.
I again love everything you're saying about that, because it's true. When you see something on TV, you are actually absolutely impacted by those, whether it is television, whether it is music, whether it is a video game, any form of media, it has an impact on you.
Yep.
I would love to hear and talk to us about a success story. Maybe a young lady that you can think of who has had an amazing transformation by enrolling in your program, and that you've been really able to impact and kind of change their direction.
Oh boy, so many. But I always go back to the story of, I won't give her name, but she was so quiet. She wasn't involved in bullying, but she was also a recluse. So she was like staying away from the drama, but in staying away from the drama, she was just in a shell. She didn't really talk to anybody. Um, you couldn't even see her personality. She was just there. And I am telling you that by the end of our circles together, at the end of the year, this child had joined cheerleading team. She taken and started an initiative. I think it was, she was collecting water at the time for initiative. She started this whole social impact initiative. She became a leader, and not only that, she was someone who could mediate between some of the peer conflicts, the conflicts that her peers were having. And so that's one of the ones that stand out to me phenomenally. Others are girls who have gone and taken their YouTube channels and are just like they can rival any YouTube influencer because they've just taken that skill and really flown with it. And so those are the things that I love to tell about and reflect on.
Can you talk about, I know we talked about the 3 E's for your programs, but as far as, can you tell us exactly how you are impacting these girls? What does a program actually look like? Is it a 3-week program? Is it a 1-day program? Is it a 5-week program? What is the actual program?
So we have several programs, but most the ones that are most popular are our summer camps. We've had to pivot because of COVID, but before it was called Divas in the City. Divas standing for Digitally Innovative Voices of Advocacy Sisters. And so what we would do is we would equip these girls for 6 weeks over the summer months with digital media tools. So cameras, video cameras, blogs, and we would send them out into the city. And as they go out in the city, they are documenting what that experience looks like. What is it to be on the Lake Michigan sailing when you've never been on the waters before, like outside of swimming in a pool, right? You've never been out on the lake, right? What does it feel like? What is that experience to eat lunch on the rooftop downtown, atop of the Prudential Center?
And you're expanding their knowledge of these different events around different experiences around your city, and giving them the opportunity to document that experience and the impact that had on them.
Absolutely, because again, I'll repeat, we live in Chicago, which is very segregated. So this is not activity they would even normally get to do, right? This is something that their parents probably have never done. And so we give them that opportunity. We also give them in this program the opportunity to shadow media creatives and those in the marketing industry. So we take them and we do shadow days at different corporations. So that's one facet. The other facet is Sankofa Nights, which we do 3 times in the summer, where it's an intergenerational peace block party. We're teaching them gardening, how to eat fresh fruits and vegetables, African drumming, really giving them back to the roots, and then giving the elders a time to get with young people and do things like virtual reality and that sort of thing. We also host events around female-centered movies. So Hidden Figures, Wrinkle in Time, the movie Little. We do fundraisers, and in that fundraiser, we do an expo. So they're actually able to do, like for the movie Little, they made hair potions. So they're learning STEM, right? They're learning how to do STEM things and connect it to the magic of what was happening in the movie Little. So it's always great things like that. We also partner with schools and other organizations to go in and do their after school programming, and doing the same thing, training girls to not just be consumers of media, but to be producers, and to also know how to navigate social media in a responsible way.
I absolutely love that. And you talked about how you worked on fundraising when you went to see the movie Little. That leads into my next question. How do you fundraise or raise funds for your organization? Because, we have a lot of nonprofit founders that will view and listen, and they want to know and get some ideas on how they can fund their organization. So what are you doing to fund Girls Like Me Project?
So I have to say, Pitch Your Nonprofit was one of those platforms where I learned, right? Because a lot of times we're doing the work and we don't even know how to raise the funds. And so I learned some new ways. I can say that we've been able to apply for a couple of grants based around the violence prevention work we do. We have a podcast, and we have a campaign where people can donate to that podcast, and then they get a shout out on the podcast. So that's one way. Events. So we had like movie screenings. We always host, if it's a blockbuster movie screening. COVID obviously slowed that down, but we will have movie screenings and connect that to our programming and do fundraising in that way as well.
Great. I love that you did a little deep dive into an unconventional way of funding other than grant writing. As you know, at Pitch Your Nonprofit, I go into complete TED Talks on why people why you have to look outside of grant.
Yeah.
One thing in the nonprofit community that I've observed prior to me joining this space and really amplifying nonprofit founders is founders are typically doing the work with their head down and not necessarily focusing on the visibility, the fundraising, and funding their organization. And as I always say, there's only one thing between you and cash is visibility. People don't know about you, so they can't fund you. And that's the one thing. So I love the fact that when I said, well, how are you fundraising? You are fundraising through a series of events, a series of virtual events, in-person events that are creative, but also complement your organization in a way that engages your community. 'Cause I think that is absolutely fantastic. And I want to know, what is it, who is on your team? Because I know a lot of founders are out there kind of like this solo mission because they're driven by so much passion. Is there anyone on your team that's supporting you through this or helping you make this happen? How does this kind of organizational structure look?
So I want to be very clear. So in our first, 6 or 7 years, there wasn't a team. There was me and a group of friends that I put on my board because they were my friends, but they were not board members. And that's no knock to them. They're still my dear friends, but they were not board members.
They weren't active. They weren't active board members. They
weren't trained
to support you.
Right. They weren't trained to be board members, and
Okay.
I didn't know how to train them. So, but I am so grateful that the universe sends us who we need. So right now we have very active board members. They are Christina Steed, who is the Vice President of Flowers Communications, which is huge for us because we are in communications, and that's a goal. We have our STEM coordinator and the chairwoman of our board, Dr. Teresa Robinson, who is over Elmhurst College's science department, and brings that to us as well. Oh boy, I have so many. Andrea Gray, who is social work, and brings that social work heart with her. Oh gosh, I'm gonna forget someone.
Oh, no. I want to note the fact that you're listing so many names and so many people that are supporting you. What I want to highlight to other founders is you have to have a team around you to help you move things forward. But there's also a particular way that you touched on as far as board members not being trained in a particular way to support you. How do you activate your board members? This is a common question at Pitch Your Nonprofit, where we are saying, okay, well, how are you moving this forward? How are you executing? Who's on your board? And people have board members that aren't activated. What are some ways that you've activated?
So first of all, to provide that strategic training, hold those dates where you can actually go in, do the deep dive. In your board meetings, make sure that you're aligned with that person's passion. People are passionate about things and they don't get to do those things in their 9 to 5. So when they give back, they want to make sure that they're able to tap into that and align with that. So we make sure that we offer that outlet for personal alignment with our mission. And then to also allow them to bring ideas if they have. I mentioned one of our board members, Dr. Teresa Robinson. She's huge with STEM and making sure that STEM is culturally competent. Well, our focus is tech and STEM as well. And so she's able to bring programs like I talked about with the STEM program at the movie Little and making those potions, right? So allowing them that outlet to feel involved in, and I'm so sorry for the background noise.
Oh no,
to your listeners.
Thor is here. Thor is welcome. Thor is definitely welcome. I think that's a great point. I want to know, what does future programs look like for you? What do you see in the future for your organization? Because we know where you are now, what's the vision moving forward?
Oh, the vision is so grand, Liberty, that sometimes it scares me.
That's the best vision.
Oh my gosh.
That's the best one. The one where you say, you know what? I don't know if I can do this. And the reason I like that vision is because the answer should be, you can't do this. You need other people to help you achieve and move this mountain and because if you could do it just as a solo person, the vision's not big enough, if you ask me. So we are all ears to hear what your vision is.
So it's 3-pronged. So our first vision is to have to expand into a institute, a research institute and marketing institute. Want to train girls, obviously, in media production, right? But we also know that Black girls are trendsetters. And so if we can hold spaces for market research, to head market research, and to train them into watching what they do as consumers and how they lead companies and brands and how they can leverage that, we want to definitely do that and provide that research. We also want to provide that research for policymakers. And so that's one. And then two, we have a global connections program, which started with our Day of the Girl observances years ago. And in 2020, I went over to Ghana to begin this partnership with an organization in Kumasi, Ghana. So our next iteration of that, where they've been pen pals now, the next iteration is to take 30 of our girls, at least 30 of our girls, to Ghana to meet their pen pals, but also start this service mission work that they'll be doing once they get there. So that's that. And then also, we want to create pipelines and pathways. So we want to be able to train 100 girls by 2026 that they will have gotten jobs within internships and shadows within media production jobs in any facet, that they will go through our program and they will be ready to work as apprentices.
I love it. I love it. That is how you dream. That is how you dream. You open the borders. You said you're gonna take these girls to Ghana to meet their pen pals. And like you said, you had big dreams, and that's where you're going with your organization. I know some people, they're thinking, I can't do this, I can't do that. My dreams are I'm really kind of afraid to dream for my organization because I'm just working with my head down on the day to day and not necessarily looking at the big picture. What is some advice that you would give as a founder? What is some advice that you would give to other nonprofit founders along this same journey?
Well, I'm more unconventional, so I'm a big believer in manifestation, and I'm a big believer in whatever you set your mind to do and you speak to the universe, it will find its way to you. So that's the first thing, is to believe, like really without a doubt, not look at what your reality is, not look at what your numbers say, not look at what is in front of you, because that's a fact, and facts can change, right? We can get a diagnosis today that says, I don't know, we have high blood pressure. And next week that fact can change because we can do some things that alter and numbers can go down, right? So don't look to facts, look to what is in your heart and your gut and what you know is assigned to you. That's the first thing. Participate in network in things like this, and pitch your nonprofit. Get out there and be brave enough, even show up, just no matter what, be brave enough to show up in your doubts, show up with your fears, show up with your, I don't even know what I'm doing. Show up, because if you're there, as you just said, Liberty, visibility. If somebody sees you there and they see that you're showing up, they see your heart, they see the work that you're doing, then they will make the connection. You know, God will send you who you need to fulfill those things. So that's really it. And then to stay open to learning, right? Yes, I came to nonprofit with years of experience, over 15 years of experience in the media landscape. Yes, I came with degrees and different things, but I had no understanding about nonprofit. It's a whole different landscape, right? And so I had to be okay to relearn and say, you know what, I'm like a 5-year-old, I know nothing, and teach me, and be open to that.
I love that. Again, you are, I hate to use Clubhouse language, but you are dropping gems. You are dropping gems. It is the aspect of believe in yourself and manifest, and also showing up in self-doubt. Like you said, it doesn't matter if you're in self-doubt, still show up. It doesn't matter what, still show up. So you just have to continue to show up and be a person who is visible, because again, the difference between you and cash is visibility. If they don't know you, they cannot fund you. And I love how you talk about just continuing to dream and to move forward in that capacity. Tell us, what is a way, now that we know about your organization, we know where you are today, what you're hoping to accomplish in the future, and what you are accomplishing in the future, because you are doing the work, putting the plan in place and executing day to day so you can reach these big goals and this big vision. What is a way that our listeners can support you? Because you already know how the Pitch Your Nonprofit community works. They will activate on behalf of people that they see on the show. They will activate in small ways and major ways. For those listening, when we activate our Pitch Your Nonprofit community, we could activate with an entire audience giving $25, which turns out to hundreds and hundreds of dollars to one person on stage. We can activate in a way where multiple sharks will fund $1,000. It's really phenomenal. It's just a phenomenal show, a phenomenal space where we have funded over $225,000 to nonprofit founders. And that doesn't really kind of tie into the ripple effect that continues to happen from the connections and the relationships that are built from that. We've had founders receive board members from major tech companies that come in and listen to the show, and it just continues to give and give. Can you talk about what do you see for the future of how people can jump in to support you? Because we know where you are, we know where you're going. How can we support you?
So I want to say, and I want to reiterate that we definitely were beneficiaries. So everything that Liberty just said is real. There is real activation, just in a matter of moments from being on the Clubhouse in that pitch room. We've got financial support as well as follow up with some of the people who are on. So how can you help today? Well, first and foremost, the first easiest thing you can do is to share this out and make sure you drive people to our website. And once you're there, subscribe to our newsletter so you can see all the campaigns that we have, and hit the donate button. And you hit the donate button there's also a link where, we don't just ask you just to give us money, right? You can be a part of our programming. So if you donate to our podcast, then you get a shout out, and depending on how much you give, you actually can come on our podcast. And so we have different ways that people can give. We also, a very big need that we have is to have mentors and those who will allow our girls to shadow them, right? Some people work for tech companies that have multiple chapters or multiple companies, offices around the world. And Chicago is a pretty big city. And so some tech companies may have, or media companies may have offices in the city. And so we just ask that you be open to allowing our girls to come and shadow. And because this is a virtual world now, right? Thanks to the quarantine and COVID. That's the gift of the curse, is that we can have you speak to our girls from anywhere in the world, right? And to, as you said, drop gems on them. But providing those opportunities for internship and apprentices, and really helping us, as I said before, with my goal of creating this institute, those who can come along us and advise us do that, we need that as well.
I think that is the best ask out there, because a lot of people will come with a monetary ask. I feel like the relationship ask that you just asked for, it's tenfold. Any sort of monetary request or ask to move you forward in a particular program, I love your ask, because you are building relationships with people in the city of Chicago. And to have the young ladies go on site and shadow certain people at media and communication companies, and also obviously tech companies, but giving the opportunity and opening that up to people from around the country. So if you are around the country and you're not in Chicago, and one thing that I love about doing our show on Clubhouse and also moving it off the Clubhouse platform to additional formats is, you don't have to be in the city with the particular person that you want to support. And this is an excellent example. We love the work that Lakeisha's doing at Girls Like Me Project. And I am in Austin, Texas. I am not in Chicago. Right. I am in Austin, and we are supporting her organization and helping her move forward and welcoming her into the Pitch Your Nonprofit alumni community where she can move forward with her organization. So I want to activate on your behalf for Girls Like Me Project and invite all of the listeners, all of the supporters at Pitch Your Nonprofit to come, go to girlslikemeproject.org, girlslikemeproject.org, and you can click on that donate button. Also, you can click to connect with Lakeisha and reach out to her to talk about how you can support. If you have a company that you would love to have young ladies come in to document and shadow and follow, reach out to her for that. If you are saying, you know what, I don't have a company that they can come to, or I don't have that where they can come shadow, but I like your work, I like what you're doing, that's where we want them to click that donate button, Miss Lakeisha. We want them to click
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, we take all the clicks. Like, we're not turning down any clicks.
Absolutely. And where can people stay connected and follow you? I know we've given your website. I've given your website constantly with girlslikmeproject.org, but I want them to connect with you and also get an opportunity to see you doing the work and your social, your Instagram and Twitter and any other place that people can connect with you.
Yes, so we have a very robust social media presence. We're on Instagram and Facebook at Girls Like Me Project, both handles. And then Twitter is Girls Like Me PROJ. We couldn't fit the whole project in there. So Girls Like Me PROJ, that's our Twitter handle. We're also on LinkedIn at Girls Like Me Project. And when you go on our website, you can also follow along. Oh, we also have a YouTube channel, Girls Like Me Project YouTube channel. But our website, you can sign up for our newsletter, and that will also keep you connected. Our email address is info@girlslikemeproject.org. You can send us emails as well.
Thank you so much, Lakeisha, for coming on to talk about Girls Like Me Project. And this is brought to you by Pitch Your Nonprofit Show. Pitch Your Nonprofit Show is the #1 nonprofit show on Clubhouse. We have funded over $225,000 to nonprofit founders on Clubhouse. I'm so proud of that fact. I'm just so proud of that. We were the first nonprofit show on Clubhouse. We have been airing every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central since September 2020. It's just insane how long we've been on Clubhouse. I'm looking forward to taking Pitch Your Nonprofit to the next level because, like I said, I'm always looking to amplify nonprofit founders. And what we do at Pitch Your Nonprofit is perfect the pitch. Obviously, you're coming to pitch in front of our amazing sharks, our amazing guest sharks, and our amazing cast sharks that we have as our weekly cast members of Pitch Your Nonprofit. But the main thing, again, and I'll say this again, is you are pitching not only to the sharks, but to the audience of Pitch Your Nonprofit. And that's where the magic happens. That's where the DM happens. That's where these communications just take off. And we see so many wonderful things just reach this monumental point that we just are like, wow, I can't even believe that happened, because people are driven by passion. And when we see other founders, when we see nonprofit founders really talk about why they're doing something, why they're pitching, why they have started this organization, and why them, that moves people. That moves people to action. And I'm just thrilled to know that you saw a problem. You saw this gap in these young ladies between the ages of, I can't even believe 9, but between the ages of 11 and 17, that you are really working to change how they view themselves and really putting a camera in their hand. So not only are they walking to petition other people to say, that's not me, this should be me, you're empowering them to say, create the you that you want the world to see. Thank you so much, Lakeisha. I'm Liberty Madison, your host of Pitch Your Nonprofit. And this has just been an amazing, amazing, amazing conversation with an organization that I'm really looking forward to seeing grow. Thank you, Lakeisha.
Thank you. It's been an honor. And I thank you for taking the time and understanding that Pitch Your Nonprofit is a necessary thing. On Clubhouse, it's all about VCs and startup tech companies, which is wonderful, right? But somebody had to remember that, as you said, the only difference and disconnect between currency is visibility. So thank you again for allowing Girls Like Me this platform. And I wish you all the best and much success. I see Pitch Your Nonprofit going so many places beyond Clubhouse and abroad. You got it. Thank you so much, Liberty.
Pitch Your Nonprofit starts now. I'm Liberty Madison, your host of Pitch a Nonprofit. I am here with Lakeisha. Lakeisha is the founder of an amazing organization that I really, really admire, and I wanted to hear more about, and I wanted you guys to hear more about it. And she is the founder of Girls Like Me Project. Girls Like Me.
And it was to address what I saw in Black girls as mean girl behavior. I saw that they were being impacted by the negative media stereotypes and stigmas, messages. I saw that they were being negatively impacted by the societal messages that they were getting and the environmental messages that they were getting, and that they were then acting this out. But Liberty, the most bewildering thing is that these were girls who were in 4th grade. So 9-year-olds, right?
No way. Fourth graders.
4th graders. So this was at the time of my son being in 4th grade, and there was a lot of mean girl behavior. And what I noticed was that they were emulating mostly what they were watching on Real Housewives. So you knew that that's what they were emulating, because some of the things that, who gonna check me, boo, and all the other little catchphrases that were happening at that time. Real Housewives of Atlanta had just come out.